In this video, I will talk about how I moved from Kraków to Warsaw, what problems I encountered, where I looked for housing, and what mistakes I made. And in general, what mistakes can be made during the search. It so happened that I lived in Kraków for 9 years, and in principle, there was no necessity for it. And when I faced this, I was honestly shocked and realized that it was essential. On the channel about business in Poland, I need to record this video about finding an apartment, housing, yes, changing housing within Poland. And this also applies to those who are just planning to move here. You will face the same process. Why? Because we are entrepreneurs, but we all live somewhere, and our life, our home, is part of our life. Yes, it's an important process, in short. While recording the video, like, subscribe, it's interesting to get your feedback on this format. So what does the process of finding housing look like? Well, first of all, you make the decision that you are moving. Secondly, ideally, you write a technical specification. That is your vision, your criteria that are important to you, which you will use both for yourself and in the future for realtors. In our Telegram chat, I will share an example of a technical specification that I wrote. And by the way, regarding this technical specification, many realtors wrote me flattering reviews saying, wow, what a great specification. If only everyone wrote such a technical specification. We have no questions. We understand everything. We are searching for everything. Made the decision, wrote the technical specification and criteria. Next, the actual search process begins. An important question arises. Should one search for housing independently or with a realtor? And at first, as an experienced person who knows Polish, I thought, well, why should I pay a realtor? Or anyone at all? I know Polish, I'll search myself. And especially considering that approximately 50% of the listings that realtors later sent me, I found myself on the open market. So I understand that they want to make money off me, but there's a catch. I started searching for real estate on my own and down below. Under this video, I will share links to 2 Telegram bots. These are top Telegram bots where basically all of Poland searches for housing. You can select criteria there. Well, in short, very cool bots. I hope you'll give us a like and a thank you for this. I started searching. There are also websites like olx.pl and Autodom, but essentially these bots allow you to parse listings directly into the bot, and it's convenient to view in Telegram and then follow the link. But then, after working with it for a few days, I realized that listings get picked up very quickly and you need to react fast. In Warsaw, there's huge competition. So even if you with someone else the same property, it will be sent to you, as it were. A realtor, it's still okay because you might be at work all day and not have time to call, while the realtor is in the loop and can, so to speak, snatch the property for you. Therefore, a strategic decision was made to search for property both independently and through realtors, and through friends, acquaintances, and through everything. The worst for me was Facebook, specifically Facebook groups. Yes, there are thousands, tens of thousands of people, but honestly, it's very inconvenient, meaning you have to go in, scroll through, monitor under one post. About an apartment, there are already 50 messages, and you realize, what are you going to be? The 51st person trying to get into that apartment, to rent it, it's kind of nonsense, you know. So try it if it suits someone, but it doesn't suit me. Accordingly, there are 3 effective ways to search by yourself, to search through realtors, and that's it, 2 ways. Next, after you have found a property, you arrange for viewings. Ideally, you should arrange viewings on the same day or the next day, meaning very quickly, because in Warsaw, housing is snapped up the fastest. Accordingly, I did not participate in so-called competitions where you come and it's like there are 10 people standing and they line you up like slaves, you know, in one line and choose. I did not participate in such displays of generosity, but I was told that it happens. Therefore, you need to react quickly and sort of arrange for a viewing. During the viewing, it makes sense to arrange to see as many apartments as possible right away. And initially, what helped me was starting to look at some apartments that I understood from the photos. I probably wouldn't rent, but I needed the experience. That is, I needed to build this experience to see what else is out there. Like, do I prefer to have a balcony or not? Is it crucial for me to have a balcony, or is it more important that the living room is large, right? I don't know. Is a TV important to me? Or honestly, I don't care because I watch everything on my laptop. So after viewing several completely random apartments, I gained this experience and the ability to ask the right questions to the realtor or the apartment owner. Well, and it kind of makes sense. Increase your viewings. Of course, before going, it's better to ask the basic conditions through a realtor or if you know Polish. Because here, well, we will discuss what tricks there are, right, but there are a million combinations and tricks, but it's worth asking the basic questions. First, is it current or not? The advertisement, it's current, yes. Second, where is the exact address? Because sometimes they just write the district. And well, the concept of a district like Wola is quite flexible, right? Or Bielany. Then definitely ask about the current cost and be sure to ask about the rent and utilities. Yes, because sometimes they deliberately don't write this in the ads, like the price is such and the rent is average for the market. Yes, well, some kind of nonsense. They write, but the rent can vary greatly. Rent refers to the administrative fees you need to pay, like garbage disposal, maintenance of the area, and most often in these Stalin-era buildings and in such old houses, the rent is higher than in new houses. I don't know why, probably because heating, bikoneer, maintenance and garbage disposal are more expensive and inconvenient. That's why it's more expensive. For example, I had an apartment where this rent cost 1,200 zlotys per month, whereas, for example, in such an apartment, you can pay 500 zlotys for rent, even though the apartment is much cooler. So after asking these questions and setting up meetings, you go out, look at the meeting itself, and again, ask the right question. Who is the owner? What documents are there? Whether intermediaries are renting it out or not. But again, we will talk about this a little further, about mistakes. And by the way, if you need help with company registration or individual entrepreneurship in Poland, accounting or business consultations in Poland, you can contact us. Below the video, you will find all the necessary links. We will be happy to help you. Actually, the most interesting, my favorite, are the mistakes that can be made and how intermediaries, realtors, and everyone else deceive people. First, there is a fixed term contract or an indefinite term contract. That is a contract with a specific end date or not. Here in Warsaw most often, and in Poland now, especially if you are not Polish, it is a contract for a minimum of 12 months. That's one. But sometimes they can easily write in something like 24 months, and if you didn't read it, then it's your problem later. This means that you are renting the apartment for 24 months, signing up for it. And very often, the possibility to get out of it. To get out of it is practically impossible. And here is the first very subtle nuance. Sometimes the term of notice, that is the period when you can say that you don't want or can't live here, it might be a month, but right now in Warsaw, this is practically non-existent. So you rent an apartment for 12 months and you have to pay for it and no one cares. Sometimes they might agree. For example, I was negotiating with the owners of one apartment, a 12-month contract, but after 6 months, they allow you, if necessary, to terminate the contract. To say that you don't want to live there, and after another month or two, you can move out. Well, these are the kind of conditions that are quite delicate. Therefore, be prepared that if you move into a property, you are committed to staying there for at least 12 months, to be continued. Also, the matter of the deposit and how this housing is handled, we are now going through the legal aspect. The matter of the housing deposit and the contract itself, sometimes they write something like minor repairs are done by the person renting the apartment, and if the exact amount is not specified, then it's unclear. The definition of what constitutes a minor repair is vague. Is a broken washing machine a minor repair or not? I don't know. Or if a handle falls off. Who pays for this, me or the owner? Therefore, it's better to read all these things carefully and understand what you are signing. Furthermore, they might write something like this, which I've seen. After the tenant moves out, they must return the apartment to the same condition it was in, including the condition of the walls and so on. And the condition of the walls is a nuance, because painting the walls throughout the apartment can easily cost 5,000 zlotys. That's why, again, we look and read carefully. Now, you understand, right, why I started to view the services of a realtor differently. Because, well, if it's a reasonable company, then at least you can ask them to translate the contract for me into Russian. Them, could you perhaps translate for me, but somehow protect your interests if you sign some nonsense under the contract? I want to tell you about a case involving an acquaintance of mine. He rents an apartment and the realtor tells him something like tongs into Russian, that you can terminate the lease and move out without any issues under standard conditions. So you're like, okay, you signed the contract. And after signing the contract, he realized, damn, there are some nuances. I'm not sure. I don't want to proceed further. And the same realtor changes their tune and immediately says, okay, no problem. Either pay 3 months rent for the apartment or within 7 days. Find someone who is willing to rent the apartment under the same conditions. Or if you do not fulfill the terms of the contract, we will take you to court. This person changes their stance instantly. So we don't trust anyone's words. I mean, absolutely. People change their minds just instantly, guys. Now it's important to discuss with whom you are signing the contract, from whom you are renting the apartment, and what else they might request. If it's an individual, they might ask for a certificate or some proof of income to show that you have the means to live, and they can also ask for a regular opinion. This is a legal procedure done through a notary, which allows the property owner, in case of eviction, to ensure you have a place to live after being evicted. Because here the law strongly protects the tenant, and that's why they protect themselves this way. Accordingly, there is a whole procedure. You must find a place to live where the owner allows you to move in case of eviction. Then all of this is signed and notarized, and you give it to the owner. It's called umowa okazjonalna. And very often this is required, especially with children. 95% what will be required from you is mentally and occasionally. Naturally, the question arises, damn, I don't have any acquaintances or friends who own property in Poland. What should I do, Stas? The answer is there are paid services on the market where you can pay 500 zlotys, and you need to make such a decision, a casual one. This is kind of a legal procedure. It's just that some company is the owner of this property, and they already have 100 to 500 of these umowa okazjonalna agreements, and it's like a formality, that's all. This is an important point regarding eviction and with whom else you are concluding an agreement, because you can conclude an agreement with a pool of landlords. In short, if you make an agreement with a company LLC, they can evict you at any moment, even with a child. And for this, they don't need an umowa okazjonalna, because there is some other rule and law that applies accordingly. You can't say, I can't pay for your apartment, but I also won't leave it because I don't have money. With a company, according to the contract, under the terms of the contract, you must leave. Another important point regarding registration. Well, we're talking about entrepreneurship, right? And they have a very negative attitude towards it. I don't know why. It's quite unreasonable, honestly, when it comes to you listing. For example, a correspondence address for your sole proprietorship for your business. Of course, regarding the company, we keep quiet. But even for a sole proprietorship, some people there say, no, don't do it. They are extremely frightened, to be honest. I don't know what happened here in Warsaw over the past 1.5 to 2 years since the war started in Ukraine, but when I look at the Poles, they really seem very scared. Apparently, some stories have been spreading by word of mouth, like it's a disaster. I was refused to register the legal address for my sole proprietorship in one apartment because they said, no, we don't want to. And the apartment was very expensive. And they told me, no, we don't want to. No, 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 no. With us? There. The property owner has their own sole proprietorship registered and said, no, we don't want to. It's not allowed. I said, well, why not? It's possible. What's the difference? How many legal addresses are registered there? It's allowed. They were like, well, no, 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 we don't want to. And, well, there's also the nuance that you have to pay an additional 100 zlotys separately. Someone might not want to, yes, so be prepared that most likely they won't allow it. Although in this apartment they allowed me almost everything. Next, there's a tricky point regarding the purpose of using the dwelling. And very often they add a clause that the dwelling can only be used for purposes, residential purposes, and no other purposes, not for conducting activities, not for anything else. And in one contract I read, it was written in such a way that it felt like I couldn't even invite someone over for tea. Or that my mom doesn't have the right to stay overnight in my apartment. So I was like, guys, well, live there yourselves. There's some strange logic here. Deposit, we are used to it being a 1-month deposit. A deposit is a security deposit. But here, they often might ask for 2 or 3 months. For example, in my apartment, the deposit is for 2 months in advance, and it's not small, to be honest. So keep that in mind. Probably the smaller and simpler the apartment, the smaller the deposit. And sometimes, by the way, it's just 1.5 deposit. And in one contract, it was written as 1.5 times the rent, which is also quite a peculiar thing. How to properly start a business in Poland. We have conducted over 500 paid consultations and launched more than 300 companies into the Polish market. And we noticed that the questions and problems entrepreneurs face are recurring. We asked ourselves, is there a way to convey all the accumulated knowledge, experiences and skills in a clear, concise, yet effective manner? And of course there is such a way. We have packaged it all into an educational project, a product which you can now take advantage of. Below the video you will find links. I would be glad to see you as participants in our training program. Now guys, an amazing feature, really cool, is the insurance. It turns out you can buy insurance, and this can either be required by the property owner or you can buy such insurance for yourself. For example, I bought insurance for 150 zlotys a year, I believe, which covers various incidents where something broke or I spilled something, damaged the parquet and so on. So it's real. It's the most popular insurance. If anyone is interested, write to me and I'll send it to you. The name of this insurance. All the realtors sent me the same link and I bought this insurance there at the maximum rate. And there's this funny thing that in theory, if even your oven breaks, some guy from them comes and fixes it under the insurance. That's the funny thing. And sometimes the property owner might require this insurance. Yes, saying something like buy the insurance, it also covers various cases of fire, flooding, and everything else. Well, like I recommend it. I really recommend it. I suspected it existed, but for me it was a real discovery, honestly. Regarding realtors and my attitude, yes, to this whole situation in general. There are 1 million realtors in Warsaw, but when I sent my requirements to about 20 realtors, you won't believe it, but the funnel narrowed sharply. So I sent to 20. Out of them, at least 10 responded to me. Out of the 10 who responded, about 5 to 7 actually got involved in the work. Out of the 7 who got involved in the work, and these 7 people start sending me the exact same apartments. All the realtors start sending half of the same apartments from the market. And they all ask me to give them detailed constructive feedback. I say, guys, I don't have time to give feedback to all of you. I wrote an excellent specification and you send me an apartment where there are carpets on the floor. Are you even serious? Therefore, the funnel narrowed down and I ended up with 3 realtors I worked with. Well, genuinely reasonable people with whom I collaborated. If you're interested, I can share their contacts, specifically in Warsaw. And if I had found an apartment through a realtor, then I would have paid the realtor. the story is that you will need to sign a contract. With them, yes, Iman, it's a normal procedure. I also reviewed it. You need to be with them. Sign a contract that if they showed you a property, then you are obliged to pay them a commission if you decide to rent it. So, well, usually it's a 100% commission, but one of the realtors said it's a 100% commission plus VAT. Well, if you're renting an apartment for, say, 8 to 10,000 zlotys, then think about it. Some figure, like if you rent for 10,000 plus VAT, that's 2,300 zlotys. So you have to give 12,300 zlotys to the realtor with VAT. It's something, right? But even if it's 5,000, it's still over 1,000, 1,100 plus, right? Zlotys. Not very good. Therefore, most people still say it's a 100% commission, which includes VAT, like on their side. You found an apartment with a realtor or by yourself. Sign the contract, and there's also this thing called the handover protocol. That is the protocol of handover, the protocol of apartment acceptance. And at this stage, and this is not all, at this stage it is very important to do this process correctly. Firstly, you should photograph everything. Photograph everything as it is. Secondly, don't be afraid, don't hesitate to record videos. Simply walk through everything calmly, record it on video, yes, save it in your archive somewhere on Google Drive. Thirdly, check that everything is working. Curtains, faucets, windows, mechanisms, I don't know, spoons, forks, toilets, bathtub, washing machine, oven, everything. All the items you see, and moreover, all the shelves that open, you need to open everything, because I had it in one apartment that I open it and some shelf falls apart, collapses, and he's like, oh, yes, we'll fix that. Then I climb somewhere else and there's broken glass, cracked. Oh, well, yes, we'll fix that too. Well, I don't know if they will actually fix it or not. Yes, so it's all documented in the report. Yes. Usually the report includes the most expensive items, some equipment, the stuff that's there. Like I hand over as the owner, like a TV, an oven, a stove, and something else. And plus the visual condition of the items, the state, visually, also needs to be photographed and kept in mind. After signing the contract, after signing this report, that's it. You are given the keys, usually within 3, 5, 7 days. You need to make all these payments, usually via bank transfer, because cash is not preferred by the Poles. If they pay taxes, they don't want to take cash. Accordingly, it's the first month's rent and 1 or 2 months deposit. And there, if necessary, a special agreement. So these documents, yes, and also insurance, and that's it. So that's the process. You send, exchange documents, sign, pay, and you can live there. After you start living there, there are usually things that need to be finalized and changed. Sometimes you need to change to your name. Meters, so not really changing them, but just getting access to them and understanding where to pay, how to calculate everything. Most often the apartment owners handle this. They calculate and send you all this information. It's very important, as I encountered, to change all legal addresses in all systems. That is, in banks like Millennium, Santander, or any bank you have, change the addresses, because letters and cards might be sent to the old address. It turns out that the Polish Post has a forwarding function. We will try it now. When they send you a letter to your old address, they see that there is a forwarding setup, and instead of sending it, they forward it directly, in theory, to your new address. It's a great function for the new address. I recommend it, and I'll leave a link below the video. Addresses were changed using this function. If you have both DG and PF Poland with Pool Koza and so on, then in principle it's also not bad. In those systems, change the addresses, at least in one specific case, it is absolutely necessary to do so. Yes, where it is and there. For place, for addresses where you specifically conduct your business activities. You either write this address or there is a checkbox indicating everywhere. What is your address for storing accounting documents? Address for correspondence and residential address. These can all be the same addresses or they can all be 4 different ones. That also happens. For example, my address for storing accounting documents is at my accounting office where we have a partnership and so on. The other addresses are different. Well, in short, that's the story, friends. Phew. I hope this will be useful to you because I shared all of this with you sincerely, based on what I encountered. Be careful, don't rush. Don't listen to anyone regarding advice on whether something is good or bad. Just be attentive. Read the contracts. If there's an option, even pay someone. Let someone read the contract for you for those 300, 400, 500 zlotys if you're already making a decision. Let a realtor or a lawyer read the contract and tell you what nuances are there. Because I was shocked by the kinds of clauses that can exist. Another important point to add is powers of attorney. It sometimes happens that you come to rent an apartment and the man says, I eat at a beer bar, here is my beer bar. A power of attorney, here is my power of attorney. You need to carefully check who the power of attorney is for, if it is specified for this apartment, and if there are multiple owners of this apartment, ideally the power of attorney should be from all these people. Sometimes it happens that it's a power of attorney for a power of attorney, for a power of attorney. Then you need to piece together the entire scheme into one. So be careful with these aspects as well. And write in the comments, if you think I could be a realtor. That's what I'm thinking right now. I'm explaining as if I've been in this field for about 15 years. If you need realtor services from Stas, please write to me on Instagram and I will help you find an apartment in Warsaw. Now I live in Warsaw and I will help you find an apartment in Warsaw. Well, I wish you a good move to Poland. From Warsaw to Kraków, I grew up in Gdańsk. Wherever you go, you will succeed. Thank you. Friends, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and below the video, you will find all the contacts of our hero and his product. If you need a service, and in general about him there, including his institute, write your questions in the comments, what else you are interested in knowing, and I wish you good business in Poland. If you need help with company registration, opening pay accounting, also write to us. All links are in the description. Hits.